We continue here in Indianapolis out of the 2025 Scouting Combine. Craig Grialou, Dani Sureck, and Cynthia Frelund joining us here from the NFL Network. First things first, though, your role within the network, your role within the league, it's different, but we are seeing more and more teams use numbers to kind of get the advantage and maybe win games more than I think we've ever seen before.
Yeah, I think the funny part about analytics is, in some ways, people overuse the word, so it means nothing anymore. I'm not even entirely sure what it even means. But the reality is it's just a tool in the tool belt for coaches, for front office members, for people who are in charge of salary cap, people who do free agency, people who are scouting, all of these different things. It's a way just to help make things a little bit better. But at the end of the day, if you're a bad carpenter, it doesn't matter what tool you have, right? Or if you're a good carpenter, you can make things out of things that but you're just trying to be incrementally better, 10% better each time using technology to help. You can watch more film, or you can watch more this specific type of play. It just helps you drill down on what your values are so you can spend more time on the things that matter and less time on the things that don't.
Analytics comes up a lot when you're talking about going for two or situations like that late in the game, and people always seem to feel some type of way about it. In hindsight,
I just rolled my eyes at you. I'm sorry.
What are things that the analytics doesn't take into account or does take into account? Because that is something that a lot of fans, that's what comes to mind when you think of analytics.
It is. And when on broadcast, when they're like, the analytics say to go for it, I don't know. There's not one analytic czar that's like, you should go for it. That's not how it works. Ultimately, it's your strategy, and you figure it out ahead of time, and you say to the strategy, okay, for example, in the Super Bowl, just because that's the most recent game, do I want to earn 3 points by kicking a field goal if I'm the Eagles, or do I want to try to go for it on fourth down? I'm very good at going for it on fourth down. Maybe get it. Let's call it 50-50 value proposition on that. And worst case scenario, I have to make Patrick Mahomes go 90 yards, as opposed to, so what yard am I on? What's the score? What's going on here? Do I take 3 or do I make him go 90? Because remember, with the kick, the new rules, they were starting at the 40, so either go 60 yards or 90 yards. So the reality is it's just a strategic decision. You wouldn't make the same decision if it's Patrick Mahomes as if it were, other teams. It depends on what you believe your defense matches up against their offense, etc. But, that's the type of situation. It's just a different mind frame, and it's a different structure to think about the value of those 3 points, kicking the field goal, versus the value of the differential of 30 yards, which would be the difference between Patrick Mahomes starting on the 10 or the 40.
You have taken those numbers now as far as mock drafts and how you model and how do you figure out, all right, this is the good fit for the Arizona Cardinals at 16. Behind the scenes, how do you come up with that formula?
So what I look at there is I try to do a thought. There's so many great mock drafters who do they do a great job of asking coaches and figuring out what's going on, and they have a great historical scouting perspective. Daniel Jeremiah is super accurate, and he's a wonderful coworker of mine. I just do it differently based on we had to narrow it down somewhere. So the thought exercise for me is if my goal is to win games in 2025, so this season, so that there's some long-term strategy about quarterbacks, et cetera. My model did not have the Falcons selecting Michael Penix, right? And not playing him after taking Kirk Cousins. That's a good strategy for them long-term, but it wouldn't be selecting for wins in 2025, right? So ultimately, how do you do that given the free agents? And right now, free agency hasn't even begun yet. So there are lots of different options. You guys, this doesn't really relate to you because you're not looking for a quarterback, but, is it better for the Giants to bring in a veteran quarterback, or is it better for them to draft a quarterback? The Titans, kind of the same thing. How do you look at those quarterback decisions? The Raiders, same thing. All of these, they're picking a little bit later. How do those things kind of play out? What is the value for this season of inserting one of those veterans versus drafting?
With your process, given what the Cardinals need, where this draft class is really strong, what are you liking about this draft class that could work for the Cardinals?
Well, it's all kind of changed now that I did that first mock draft before the Super Bowl. So a lot of things have changed from the standpoint of for example, Abdul Carter, he could potentially there'd be no way that you guys would pass up a minute. But if there's something wrong with his foot and he falls a little bit, maybe you could snatch him up. I'm pretty sure Jonathan Gannon would be pretty happy about that. But I would imagine, to me, pass rusher, corner, those are some areas. I think the defense is where I would look. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but Kyler Murray participated. I do this chess tournament every year for football players. It's a charity chess tournament on chess.com. Kyler was in the finals. He almost had it. Justin Reed beat him in the last game.
Wow, Kyler is a pretty good chess
He's
player.
a
He's very
really good chess player.
competitive.
Oh, he was like dialed in. Like, I think he had a snack at one point, but he didn't, like, the eye contact. Snack. It was incredible. It was I was like, love it. I love seeing it. Anyways, so I
No,
digress,
he
but
is a huge chess player,
Yeah.
and he and Larry Fitzgerald have
That's right.
battles.
And Larry was on that as well.
Yeah.
Larry was kind of the reason I got into it, because Larry and I worked together doing Amazon stuff. I love Larry. Like, I think Larry is, I don't pick favorites, but I'm from Michigan, so Barry Sanders is my number one all-time favorite player, but like Larry might be two.
That's I think Fitz would be okay with
Good
being
list
two
so
behind
far.
Barry Sanders. That's
Well, it's because
fair.
like that's how I learned football, was Barry Sanders. So Fitz was like, I'm not old enough for you. Like, see, there we go.
On the subject of the Cardinals this past season, and again, the numbers from 4 wins to
Yep.
8 wins,
Yep.
knocking on the door in the playoffs. What you saw, what is needed now to be a playoff team and have that next step, 10 wins, 11 wins?
I'm a huge offensive line person, so if you're going to give me a quarterback of the caliber of Kyler Murray, and you're going to give me Marvin Harrison Jr., and you're going to give me that Trey McBride, I'm going to want your O-line to be bolstered big time, because I want to see what that looks like. Like, I want to play the video game with that. I also want the defense to be better. Now, Jonathan Gannon can like whip up some stuff that we wouldn't expect just because of what kind of coach he is, but those are the two areas I would look. So pass rush, potentially corner, and then O-line. And this is a very light O-line free agency and draft class, so I don't think where you're picking, I don't think my left tackle, the guy from LSU, I don't think Will Campbell will be available, so I'm guessing it'll probably be defense, and you're going to be really happy with whoever it is, because there's a lot of great defenders in this class.
Looking at the 2025 areas of success, and
Yep.
specifically the NFC West, because you do look around the league.
Yeah.
How open do you expect
So
where
open.
things stand right now in that division for the Cardinals, who at one point led the division last?
I think it's wide open. I think this is going to be I think the winner of this division will be a very strong, like 10, 11 win team, but they will all be very close. The best competition possible, because I think the Seahawks, they'll get a little better. I think the Niners will hopefully be healthier, but no Debo, so that's interesting. They've got some free agents to figure out as well, but they've still got some good wide receivers, so I think this is a very sneaky competitive division that people underrate, because I don't know why they I don't know. Not me. I live in LA. I don't underrate this division, but like I think some people are like, oh, that's an easy division. No, that's actually a really hard division. So I think it's open. It's wide open though. But again, I think 11 wins will get you there.
We saw a lot. The postseason success was certainly based off the line of scrimmage, and how much of what you do now all of a sudden becomes what you're seeing as successful teams. And all of a sudden, maybe do you have to tweak something based off how you look at the league?
Yeah, you have to tweak every single season. It's like there's like a pendulum, like offense, then defense, then offense. Like, so we saw running become, it's back in vogue. It's back, baby. And then now we'll see run stopping. That'll be back. And then we'll see that'll open up passing. Like, it's just where are you giving someone an opportunity to succeed, and where are you taking it away? And it's hard, because this year's a little bit more telegraphed than normal, just because the defensive front class is so much better than it has been in recent seasons. So you're getting a chance to potentially stop the run more quickly. Maybe you look a little bit more like the Eagles did, right? Like that kind of thing. So I'll be curious to see where things net out. I would think we'll probably see another year of pretty good running, but we'll start to see that trend go back to passing. It's just the way it is, right? Pass, run,
Yes.
pass, run.
Appreciate it, Cynthia. It's
Yeah,
great
thanks so much for
to
having me,
finally
guys.
sit down and talk with you, and
Anytime.
love the numbers.
My parents live in Arizona, so I'm a big fan.
Oh, okay.
Love it.
Always good to have another Arizona Cardinals fan in the mix.
There you go.
Appreciate it.